So let's recite together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the sublime, the victorious, and the totally self-enlightened. Okay. Welcome, everyone. So today we are going to start with Vedanānupassanā, the contemplation of feeling. So we have finished with the contemplation of the body last week. So today we're going to the second foundation of mindfulness. Now, as we know, the object of Vipassana practice are mind and matter. So in the last foundation, the contemplation of the body, practices starting with or based on the body were introduced. Kaya is body, so rupa is rupa. Also Caraṇapālī, those practices based on rupa being introduced. Now we are moving to Vedanānupassanā. So that is Vedana means feeling, mental feeling. So this practice will start with the mind object. Vedana is part of mind, right? So it is a cetasika, belongs to the mind. And later on, we'll also look at Citta-nupassana, consciousness, which is also mind, and Dhamma-nupassana will be both mind and matter, both. But of course, this is just where we start with, right? At the end, to be Vipassana, we must always contemplate Nama and Rupa both. So it's a matter only of what to start with, starting with the body or starting with the mind. Okay, so since we are going to talk about Vedana, let's take a look of Vedana, mental feelings. Now, in general, feelings can be divided into three kinds: pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings. So meditators are to be aware of any of these feelings that are present at the present moment, whatever it may be, whatever that is arising, we must be aware of it. And in Pali, they are called sukha, dukkha, and adukama sukha. So su means good, du means difficult, and ka means to bear. So it is said that in the Chula Vedala Sutta, it is said that whatever bodily or mentally feeling that is happy or agreeable or easy to bear, that is called sukha vedana, pleasant mental feeling. Whatever bodily or mentally feeling that is painful, disagreeable, or difficult to bear, that is called dukkha vedana. And whatever bodily or mentally feeling that is neither agreeable nor disagreeable, that is called adukkha masukha vedana, or neutral feeling. So sometimes called neither pleasant nor unpleasant, or neutral feeling. Now, to understand a little bit more about Vedana, about mental feelings, let's take a look at the four devices. Now, the characteristic of Vedana, mental feeling, is to feel or to experience. And then the function of Vedana is to experience fully the desirable or the undesirable aspect of the object. So this is the function of Vedana. It is said that other mental feelings also experience, also feel, but it is Vedana that experience the object to the full extent, Other mental feelings also feel the object, but their feeling is minimum. Vedana experience the taste of the object fully. So the example being given in the commentaries is like Vedana is like the king that is enjoying the banquet, while the other mental feelings, while the other mental factors, the other cetasikas are like the chef that prepare the meal, that prepare the banquet. So they do taste it a little bit, but that's only to try, and they don't fully enjoy the whole feast. No? So Vedana is the one who fully experiences the desirable or undesirable aspect of the object. And its manifestation is to give taste to other mental factors. So Vedana fully experience it, and the other mental factors and the chitta that arise together, of course they arise together, they also feel, but that is not their job. So Vedana give taste to the other mental feelings. The job of Vedana is to experience. And its proximate cause is contact. Because there is contact, feeling arise. Even in the Paticca it also says phassa paccaya vedana, no? Phassa paccaya vedana, because of contact, vedana, mental feeling arise. So during meditation or contemplation, any of the first three, the characteristic or the function or the manifestation, may become apparent to the mind of the meditator at different times. Now, understanding this individual characteristic or function or manifestation, which is how it is presented to the mind of the meditator, leads to the first foundational wisdom for vipassana. Remember, we talked about that in the previous sessions. That is called the nama rupa paricheda jnana, the analytical knowledge of mind and matter. So this the first step for vipassana is to understand the individual characteristic, or like what it is, like mind and matter. So different mental factors, different consciousness, and different rupa, different kinds of material properties, understanding what they are. So this understanding is the first step. And then understanding the cause, the proximate cause, as well as the other causes and conditions, that will lead to the second foundation wisdom, which is paccaya parigaha jnana. So the four devices are really important for meditators. Okay, so now let's go to take a look at the sutta. For this section, it begins with Katanchapana bhikkhave bhikkhu vedanasu Vedanānupassanā viharati. And how bhikkhus does the bhikkhu dwell contemplating the feeling in the feelings? Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu sukham va vedanam vedayamano sukham vedanam vedayamiti pajanati. Here, bhikkhus, when experiencing a pleasant feeling, the bhikkhu knows a pleasant feeling is being experienced. Dukkham va vedanam vedayamano dukkham vedanam vedayamiti pajanati. When experiencing a painful feeling, he knows a painful feeling is being experienced. Adukkha masukham va vedanam vedayamano adukkha masukham vedanam vedayamiti pajanati. When experiencing a neutral feeling, he knows a neutral feeling is being experienced. Just like in the previous section in this sutta, knowing is important, to know. So pajanati, here pajanati, whatever feeling that arises, we have to know pajanati. So practitioners of vipassana knows and observe feeling just as feeling, and not as the feeling of a person, and not as permanent or lasting feeling. So meditators see that feeling is only feeling. It does not belong to any person. It is not an individual. Meditators see that there are just pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feelings. And apart from that, no one who feels or no one that owns that feeling. This is how a meditator should understand, right? This pajanati means knowing feeling only as feeling. Well, so that is very different from an ordinary knowing, because we may say that we all know when we are experiencing a pleasant feeling, we know that it is pleasant. Even a person that does not meditate also knows that pleasant feeling is pleasant, unpleasant is unpleasant. So this knowing is not that kind of ordinary knowing. In the commentaries, it says that even babies, they also know that when they are experiencing pleasant feeling, for example, when they are being fed, or when they are listening to their mother singing lullabies, or even when they are feeling hungry, or when they need to change a diaper, they know that it is unpleasant, or they know that when it is pleasant, when it is unpleasant. But this kind of knowing is not the deep knowing that is indicated in the sutta. So only with deep knowing accompanied by wisdom, the understanding that there is no individual, feeling is only feeling, that kind of understanding, only with that wisdom can the misperception of a being, in Pali called Satu Paladi, and the perception of a self, Satasani, can be eradicated only with those kind of a deeper understanding, deeper wisdom. So therefore, here in this part of the sutta, I used the Sayadaw Unandamala Bhiwamsa's translation. Here, when experiencing a pleasant feeling, the bhikkhu knows a pleasant feeling is being experienced to clearly demonstrate the kind of knowing which is meant here. This knowing must be accompanied by wisdom that there is no self, no individual experiencing the feeling. Feeling is only feeling. In some other translations of this sutta, you may find that it may say that when experiencing a pleasant feeling, the bhikkhu knows I am experiencing a pleasant feeling. There are translations like that also, but here I prefer this translation because it clearly shows that there is only a pleasant feeling that is being experienced, but no one experiencing it. Now, concerning this knowing, the commentaries posted 3 questions. The first one, ko vedayati. The commentary asked, who is experiencing? And the second question is kassa vedana. Whose feeling is it? And the third one, kim karana vedana. What is the cost of experiencing? Now, as far as the first question is concerned, the answer is that the pleasant feeling, sukha vedana, or unpleasant feeling, dukkha vedana, or neutral feeling, adukkha masukha vedana, is experiencing the object. Only Vedana itself is experiencing the object, nothing else. Sometimes we say a person experiences this and that, but this is said in a worldly or conventional usage only. In the ultimate sense, there is no person, no being, no self that experiences the object. It is only the Vedana Cetasika, mental feeling, mental factor, together with its associated chitta that is experiencing the object. Now, concerning the second question, kassa vedana, whose feeling is it? The answer is, feeling is part of the mental phenomena. Vedana, mental feeling, is only a natural phenomena, or is part of the mental phenomena, does not belong to anybody. And then, what is the cost of experiencing? The answer to the third question is that a feeling arises due to an object and the contact with that object. So there is an object, and then there is the 6 senses. When they come into contact, then the consciousness arises together with mental feeling. So those are the causes and conditions of experiencing. For instance, when the weather is very hot and a cool breeze comes and touches our body, because of the existence of this pleasant tangible object, that is the wind, and the contact with it, a pleasant mental feeling arises. I say mental feeling to mean whether it is felt through the body or it is purely mental. Because the body itself cannot feel. What feel is the mind, right? The body get into contact, the 6 senses get into contact with the object, but the body itself cannot know, it cannot feel. So it is always the mind that feels, the mind that knows, right? So in this case, the mind is knowing because of the body contact with the wind. Or when we accidentally step on something with thorns, let's say, then a painful feeling will arise. This happened because of the thorn, which is an unpleasant tangible object, and the body sensitivity coming into contact with it. As a result of that contact, that dukkha or painful feeling will arise. And sometimes it can also be, for example, when we hear bad news, such as an unfortunate event happened to our dear ones, or watching news about, like, the recent earthquake in Myanmar, painful or sad feeling may arise. So this pleasant and unpleasant feeling, they arise because of the contact with the object. Now, pleasant and unpleasant feeling, they are quite obvious, where we kind of recognize them very easily. But it is said that neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling is not that obvious. In the commentaries, it is said that it only becomes evident when we infer it. So that means the neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling is a kind of feeling that is in between and as opposed to the pleasant feeling and the unpleasant feeling. So when pleasant feeling and unpleasant feeling is absent, there is neutral feeling, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. Now, pleasure and pain are obvious, so we know them easily, but when both are absent, then that feeling might not be very apparent to us. So it is said in the commentaries that that kind of feeling is called neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. An example is being given in the commentaries. It is said that there is a flat rock, and on both sides, a deer hunter sees footprints. So here on this side and on the other side. But on the flat rock, he cannot see anything there. So he infers that the deer must have run on that flat rock. So he knows that the deer went up on this side, and then in between, it must have gone through this rock, and then it must have gone down from here. So in this way, it becomes evidence to the meditators that neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling must be the central kind which arise when there is no pleasant feeling, nor there is painful feeling, when both are absent. Okay, so briefly, we have seen the three kinds of feelings, but in this sutta, more specific kinds of mental feelings are also mentioned. So we're going to look at that right now. Just wanted to make sure that everyone is okay so far. Yes, all good? Yeah, all right. Okay, so let's continue to see what other kinds of feelings are mentioned in the sutta. So the sutta continues with Samisam wa sukham vedanam vedayamano Samisam sukham vedanam vedayamiti bhajanati. When experiencing a pleasant worldly feeling, he knows a pleasant worldly feeling is being experienced. Niramisam va sukham vedanam vedayamano Niramisam sukham vedanam vedayamiti bhajanati. When experiencing a pleasant non-worldly feeling, he knows a pleasant non-worldly feeling is being experienced. So here we have samisa sukham, samisa sukha, and niramisa sukha. So pleasant worldly feeling and pleasant non-worldly feeling. Okay, now we're going to look at it later. So let's see what other ones are being mentioned. Then it continues with Samisam va dukkam vedanam vedayamanno Samisam dukkam vedanam vedayamiti bhajanati. When experiencing a painful worldly feeling, he knows a painful worldly feeling is being experienced. So it's translated sometimes as painful, sometimes as unpleasant. Niramisam va dukkam vedanam vedayamanno Niramisam dukkam vedanam vedayamiti bhajanati. When experiencing a painful non-worldly feeling, he knows a painful non-worldly feeling is being experienced. Then the sutta continues. Samisam va aduka masukam vedanam vedayamano Samisam aduka masukam vedanam vedayamiti bhajanati. When experiencing a neutral worldly feeling, he knows a neutral worldly feeling is being experienced. Niramisam va aduka masukam vedanam vedayamano Niramisam aduka masukam vedanam vedayamiti bhajanati. When experiencing a neutral non-worldly feeling, he knows a neutral non-worldly feeling is being experienced. So we have seen, again, it is mentioned pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. But here, this time, it is either worldly or non-worldly, samisam and niramisam. So these two words are being mentioned. And what does that mean? Let's take a look. So we have samism, worldly, niramism, non-worldly, or sometimes translated as unworldly. According to the dictionary, samism means, as an adjective, means fleshly, carnal, physical, worldly, literally, with raw meat. Sa, ama plus isa. And niramisa, according to the dictionary, it means free from worldly ties, free from sensual engagement, literally non-fleshy. So that's the meaning of samism and niramism. So here we need to understand that those pleasant or unpleasant or neutral feeling that is worldly to mean that those are related to our seeking of sensual pleasure. They are related to sensual pleasure, related to the worldly thing, physical, carnal, fleshy, like that. And then niramism means the feelings, those feelings that arise when we are being away or going away from sensual pleasure. So being free from the worldly ties, free from the sensual engagement. So these types are called niramism. Now here, we have to be careful with the translation of the word worldly and unworldly. Samism and niramism itself, it's clear, these two Pali words. But when we only look at the English translation, sometimes when we read suttas, we don't compare the Pali and the English version, right? So we only read the English version. Then at the time, when we see worldly or non-worldly, then it can be confusing because there are another set of Pali word that is called lokiya and lokutara that also sometimes are translated as worldly or non-worldly. Now, let's take a look what does lokiya means. Lokiya means, again, worldly. You see, worldly, mundane, belonging to the world. And lokutara, it means supramundane, transcendental, and literally beyond the world, right? So what does it mean, lokiya? What is lokiya? Lokiya is actually the 5 aggregates of clinging are all lokiya. Even jhana is also lokiya, still mundane, because it has not gone through, it is not transcended or going beyond the world yet. So everything that is still not enlightened, let's say, all the chittas that are not enlightened chittas, those all of them are called lokiya, or belong to the world, even jhana. But then for lokutara, what is lokutara? Lokutara, in Abhidhamma terms, it refers to the 4 types of path consciousness and the 4 types of fruition consciousness. So the 4 stages of enlightenment. The Magga and Phala chittas of the 4 stages of enlightenment. They are beyond the aggregate of clinging. Those are called lokutara or supramundane. Now, for this lokiya, the 5 aggregates of clinging, we have that has not gone beyond yet. So all of them are included here. So we have to understand that in the translation here, the worldly and the non-worldly here, it does not mean lokiya and lokutara. Here it means that whether it is related to sensual pleasure or whether it is going away or free from sensual pleasure. So here we have to be careful with that. So it is recommended that sometimes when we read suttas in English, if there is some words that we are not very clear or that we think, what is the meaning of this word exactly, then it is always good to compare the Pali version, the original Pali, with the translation and see which Pali word is being used. Then there will be no confusion, because if we see samisa and niramisa, then we very clearly understand what it means, no? Okay, so here worldly feelings and non-worldly feelings means those feelings that are related to sensual pleasure and those that are being away or free from those worldly ties. Now, in our lives, very often we look for pleasure through our senses. We want to see beautiful things, listen to good sounds, smell pleasant smell, eat tasty food, enjoy a massage, and so enjoy some pleasant body feeling, and also thinking about the enjoyment. So when we do these things, pleasant feeling arises in the mind. And this kind of pleasant feeling is called samisa sukha, pleasant feeling related to sensual pleasure. So, or pleasant worldly feeling, which is translated here in this sutta. So those are samisa sukha. But sometimes we don't always get what we want. When we cannot get what we expected, or when we are not satisfied with what we got, then we experience samisa dukkha, unpleasant feeling related to sensual pleasure, or also called unpleasant worldly feeling. Say we are seeking for sensual pleasure. We went to the cinema and we wanted to see a movie, but it turns out that the movie was really boring. And in that case, then we're not feeling happy about it. So those kind of feeling are called unpleasant feeling related to sensual pleasure, or samisa dukkha, or the same for the sound, smell, taste, touch, and also even thoughts. Now you may say thoughts, like if I think, I cannot always think about what I want. Like then why do we have unpleasant feeling related to what we think about sensual pleasure? Now, if we think about something we like, then we feel good. But what about if I think, oh, I really want to buy that new phone, but it's too expensive and I cannot afford it? So that's those kind of thoughts. Also, it brings an unpleasant feeling, no? So those thoughts are also, it can be called samisa dukkha. So those that are related to sensual pleasure. Now, how about neutral feeling then? For example, pleasant feeling will arise when we taste something we like or something tasty, and unpleasant feeling will arise when the taste is not how we expected it to be, or it doesn't taste good. But sometimes there are also food that when we taste them, or maybe they taste a little bit like kind of with a neutral taste, say plain rice or water. For those, maybe a neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling may arise. Although the feeling is neutral, but we still have a desire for them. So this neutral feeling accompanied by attachment can be called neutral feeling related to sensual pleasure, or neutral worldly feeling. Okay, so we have seen samisa, sukha, dukkha, adukkhamasukha. So those three kinds of feelings that are related to sensual pleasure. Then how about those feelings that are not related, or that are free from the ties of the worldly ties? What can that be? Now, when we meditate, we may have good concentration, or we may even attain jhana or some higher stages of vipassana wisdom. When we understand something, when some wisdom arises, there is a kind of happy or pleasant feeling that arises in the mind. So those kind of mental feeling are called niramisa sukha, pleasant non-worldly feeling. Because when we are meditating or when we are contemplating, or we understand something, we are not looking for sensual pleasure, no? So therefore, this kind of pleasant feeling is not related or is free from the ties of the search or the seeking of worldly pleasure. Therefore, they are called niramisa. So these are the kind of niramisa sukha, those pleasant non-worldly feeling that is mentioned in the sutta. And there may be also times that people cannot meditate as much as they tried. The mind is not staying on the object, or they may become discouraged or unhappy. Or someone who had jhana before lost their jhana, or they cannot attain that jhana again. So they may experience some kind of dissatisfaction or sadness or unhappiness. So those kind of mental feeling is called unpleasant non-worldly feeling here. So niramisa dukkha. Now the neutral feeling that arise during meditation, which are called mindful non-worldly feeling also sometimes, occurred when meditators reach higher stages of vipassana knowledge and experience the feeling of neutrality or equanimity here. Now here, equanimity is the important point, because sometimes when we say we feel equanimous, that, of course, equanimous means it is associated with a neutral feeling, but it does not mean that all neutral feelings are equanimous, right? So they are different. So they are two different cetasika. Neutral feeling is just a neutral feeling. It can, as you can see, it can associate even with attachment, or it can associate with with worldly things also. But this one that is associated with equanimity, tatra majatata, which is a beautiful cetasika, beautiful mental state, and those kind of neutral feeling that is associated here is called the niramisa adukkha masukkha. So the neutral feeling that is free from the tie of the world, non-worldly feeling. Those that arise when we are practicing or when we are contemplating on the object, and when higher vipassana knowledge arise. At that time, the meditators do not need to put in very much effort into contemplating the object, but the practice comes to them very naturally. It is one of the higher stage of vipassana wisdom. Those feelings are called non-worldly, neutral feeling. Okay, so we have seen the three types of feelings: pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant, relating to worldly things, related to seeking pleasure, sensual pleasure, which is called samisa, and those that arises when we are not seeking sensual pleasure, or rather when we are contemplating or meditating, those that are free from the worldly ties. So besides these 6 kinds of feeling, which is described in this sutta, worldly or unworldly, sometimes pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feeling can also arise even when we are not looking for sensual pleasure, nor are we meditating, for example. Let's say we saw a beautiful sunset during a walk. So we were not looking for it, but it happens that we were there and we saw it, and a pleasant feeling arises. So we were not looking for sensual pleasure, but it happens, it arises, this pleasant feeling arises. Now, with or without attachment, it can be. But now at this moment, we are only talking about the mental feeling, so we'll leave the attachment aside first. Later on, we'll go into that. Or another example can be, let's say we were just, let's say this little girl, she's walking home from school and passed by a floral shop and smelled this sweet flower smell, and a pleasant feeling may arise. So she's not actually looking for anything, but that happens and pleasant feeling arise. So that can be an example. Or let's say someone may feel upset when they find out that there is no more space in the meditation retreat that they applied for, or well, when we accidentally hit ourselves, then dukkha feeling may arise, unpleasant mental feeling, or unpleasant physical pain also, that those can arise without searching for sensual pleasure. Then how about neutral feeling? Sometimes we hear some background noise, or when we drink water, which we may feel neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Sometimes we might not even be aware that the mind has a feeling towards this object, because they are so subtle and not obvious. So those kind of neutral feeling may arise also. Now here, these are only examples, because drinking water can also be pleasant, or some people may think that background noise are very unpleasant. So I'm only giving some examples to help us to understand, but they are not absolute. So this is just for the purpose of demonstrating or some examples of some kind of feelings for us to understand better. Okay, so in this case, this kind of sukha, dukkha, and adukkha sukha that arise when we are not searching for sensual pleasure, these kind of feelings can be understood to be categorized under the sukha, dukkha, and adukkha sukha that is mentioned in the very beginning of the sutta, before introducing the worldly and non-worldly feeling, right? So altogether in this sutta, 9 types of mental feelings are being mentioned. So purely just sukha, dukkha, adukkha sukha, pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant, and those 3 that are related to sensual pleasure, and those 3 that are free from those worldly ties. Okay, so these 9 types of mental feelings are mentioned here. Whatever feeling it may be, meditators are to be aware of them and to contemplate feeling as only feeling and not my feeling or the feeling of someone or the feeling that belongs to an individual. So feeling only as feeling. All right, up to here, all good? Any question? Yes, Judy.
Hi, Heidi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have two questions, right? One, which is I have posted on the chat box earlier.
Yeah.
On an earlier
Can you please
slide that,
say it? Yeah.
yeah, in the earlier slide, I'm not sure whether the second or third slides that you say that when there is unpleasant feeling, right? There's the Q&A. There's three questions that was raised. The first question say, who is experiencing it? And then, if I remember correctly, the response was when there's unpleasant feeling, the unpleasant feeling experiencing it.
That one is actually pleasant feeling, unpleasant, or neutral feeling, whatever feeling it may be. Only Vedana itself, the Vedana Chatasika, is experiencing that feeling.
Okay, this is where I'm a bit confused. Because I did follow your Abhidhamma here and there. So when you say any of the feelings, right, that is happening and that feeling experiencing it, or the Vedana, the feeling is experiencing it. So it's seemingly that there's something doing the experiencing. You get what I'm trying to say? Instead of it is just a happening because of the causes and conditions at that point in time that give rise to that feeling, whether it is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, right, to happen. That's it. So in short, there's no ... either something or someone or even the Vedana experiencing Vedana. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, but the thing is then how do you know that it is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral?
Perception working.
Perception. Now, perception, the work of perception, sanya, is to know the object. It has the perception of the object, but not the feeling of it, right? So do you remember the four devices we just saw right now? The function of Vedana is to feel, is to experience the object. Therefore, therefore, it can know whether it is pleasant or unpleasant or whether it is neutral. So it is Vedana's job to feel or to experience. Sanya's job, perception's job, is to know what kind of object is that. It knows it. For example, I've seen you before. So next time I see your face, I know, oh, this is Judy. That's perception. But whether I'm feeling, oh, I feel so nice, I'm seeing Judy, this pleasant feeling of seeing you is Vedana. They have different
I somehow got that when you're explaining that. Yeah, okay, thank you very much for this question. The next question is this slide that is on screen now. You see, based on my limited understanding of feeling, right, it's just these three: pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant, okay? And now what you have introduced is this samisa and niramisa, which is pleasant feeling related to sensual pleasure or a non-worldly pleasant feeling, okay? Okay, so are we, how do I ask? So it's like recognizing the samisa and niramisa, they are the object, and feeling is I do not know how to ask this question, but yeah,
yeah, okay. I try to say something and see if it helps your understanding. Now, feelings in big classification, we can like in this sutta, we can classify it into pleasant, unpleasant, and neither pleasant nor unpleasant, right? Because in different suttas, the Buddha sometimes explain it in more details, explain it into, let's say, pleasant feeling related to sight, pleasant feeling related to sound, pleasant feeling related to smell, pleasant feeling related to taste, related to touch. Then we have to times 6. right? These 3 times 6, because we have 6 types of 6 senses, right? So the Buddha explained concerning feeling in many different ways, in many different suttas. But now in this Satipatthana Sutta, when we are contemplating, we have to know whatever feeling that is arising at the present moment, we know whether it is pleasant, whether it is unpleasant, or whether it is pleasant nor unpleasant. So whether it is neutral, yeah. So the next thing we know, if we can be aware a little bit more, then we can know this feeling arise because of what, related to what. Related to because I'm seeking for sensual pleasure, or it arises because of my meditation, or what is it related to? So but the feeling is still pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, right? You can see even it is worldly or it is free from the worldly types, it is still these 3 types. So the only detail that is added here is whether it is related to or not of sensual pleasure. Is that a little bit clear, Judy?
Yeah, that is much clearer. Thank you very much. And my 2 follow-up questions, right? That would lead us at risk for being unskillful. I'm speaking to this about this mind, right? If we are not skillful, right, very easily we'll fall into thoughts, thinking, whether this is sensual pleasure or whether this is unworthy Vedana.
No, sometimes the mind, when the mind is sharp, or it not even necessarily so sharp, like it's so easy to understand because the mind already knows. Let's say when you're eating a chocolate, you feel happy, related or not to sensual pleasure.
I see.
Yeah, so it's so easy to know. We don't have to actually think about it too much. Or if there is some kind of situation that it is not very clear, then never mind. Just know pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, and that's it. We don't have to go, because at the end, the purpose is not an to analyze what kind of feeling it is. The purpose is to understand about feeling, learn something about feeling. Right, and then to understand nama and rupa is the final goal of vipassana meditation. No, so if it is not clear, don't think about it. Just know that it is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. That's it.
Okay, that's very comforting. And my last second follow-up question is niramisa, right? Is it a situation where it is only when it is in meditative state where there is wisdom to be able to recognize that it is unworthy, pleasant feeling?
The recognizing and the feeling itself is different, no? Because one is watching the other, no? Like a pleasant feeling arise. That pleasant feeling cannot know itself, right? But another mind, that pleasant feeling arises and it passes, right? So the meditative mind arises now and know, oh, just right now a pleasant feeling arise, right? That is another mind that is knowing that. So hopefully this mind that recognize the pleasant feeling has wisdom. That's why it knows what it is about. And then, oh, it has a reason, and it is only feeling, it is not my feeling. No one is feeling there, right? So this one is hopefully with wisdom, the observing mind. Then the other one, if it is a meditative mind, then if it is because of feeling happy because of some kind of vipassana understanding, that surely wisdom will be there. So, but it is very hard to say whether or not exactly. It is case by case, no?
I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, welcome. Yes, Sita.
My understanding is that when the mind get in touch with the object and this is phassa, and then feeling arise, and that is Vedana. Am correct in my understanding?
Yes. Phassa and Vedana, because of there is phassa, then Vedana arise. So phassa is the cause of Vedana, but phassa and Vedana actually arise together at the same time. So it's not one after another because they are in the same citta. No? The same citta, they arise together at the same time, but their function is different. One is to get in contact, and the other one is to feel.
Okay, thank you.
Right, welcome. Okay, anyone else? All good? Okay, so although it's a little bit early, I think it's good that we take a break here, and then coming back from the break, we'll talk about the causes and conditions on why Vedana arise. Okay, so see you in 5 minutes. Hey, welcome back, everyone. So I see that there are some questions in the chat box. Bhagya, I'm sorry if I pronounce it not correctly. So here the question says, in Paticca we have Phassa Paccaya Vedana. It means we call it Vedana if arising from contact with object. Now we have mental feeling. Is it called Vedana also? It doesn't arise from contact. Don't we follow Paticca? Okay, I think there is a confusion here. Now, Vedana is always mental feeling, as I said a little bit earlier, because the body itself, the body cannot feel. No, we feel. It's always the mind that feels. It is a Cettasika, it is a mental factor. Vedana, it is a mental factor that feels, that experience, right? So it is always the mind that feels. The body, we feel, the mind feel through the body sometimes. Let's say when we touch something soft, then a pleasant feeling arise. A cushion very soft, a pleasant feeling arise. We are experiencing Vedana. The mind is experiencing this pleasant feeling through the touch, but it is the mind that feels, right? So, sorry, a brutal example. If you cut your hand out, the hand, put it there, the fingers there, can it still feel anything? It cannot feel, but it is the same hand. No, hand is hand. It is still rupa, but it cannot feel because there is no mind. Consciousness is not there. No, so the body itself cannot feel, but it is the mind get this pleasant feeling. If it is, let's say, body touch, then it through the body in this case. So feeling is always mental, and so it's called mental feeling. So Vedana itself is mental feeling, and it does arise through contact. So Phassa Paccaya Vedana, according to the Paticca, according to the dependent origination, contact conditioned Vedana. So it does because of the contact, as we say, let's say a pleasant wind blow, and because of this contact, then we feel pleasant, right? So it is because of contact. So I don't see any conflict there. Does that answer your question? Not sure if he's here or not. Anyway, so that's about that. Okay, so let's go to Ada and Kate's question. Can you clarify to what degree Vedana is inherent in an object itself, vs. to what degree is it about one's reaction? To ask a different way, does an Arahant experience Sukha or Dukkha Vedana or not, because the Arahant has no craving? Okay, this is a good question. Now, it is said that according to the Abhidhamma, that the object itself can be a pleasant object or an unpleasant object. So it is, in a way, inherent in the object itself. So let's take an easy example. Let's say an apple. The taste of an apple. When we taste an apple, is generally considered as a pleasant taste. Right, whether you like apple or not it's another it's a different matter at the moment. Yeah. So in the teachers explained when we are studying about the Abhidhamma, we usually take an average person as the baseline. So if an average person will think that an apple has a pleasant taste, so that object itself is pleasant. It is considered a pleasant object, right? Now, so here we have a few different mixed here, because remember, we are seeing our experience in a microscopic way. Yes, so we have to be careful here. Although an apple has a pleasant taste in general, but when we taste it, the taste consciousness actually is associated with neutral mental feeling. So when we taste whether the thing is good or bad, it is always with a neutral feeling in the beginning, when we first taste it. Then later on, when the mental process continues, then we react to it because we like it. Then there are those jhavanas moments. If you have studied a little bit about Abhidhamma, then you know there are the jhavana moments. And in those jhavana moments, that's our reaction to it. If we react to it because we like it, or we react to it with craving, then it pleasant feeling may associate with that. So initially, apple is pleasant. It has a pleasant taste, but the tongue consciousness always associate only with neutral feeling, whether it is good, taste good, or taste bad. Then afterwards, the mind react to it, and like it, then pleasant feeling. Don't like it, unpleasant feeling. Okay, so that's how an unenlightened person, not an arahant, will react in general in this way. Yeah. So then if it is neutral feeling, then why do we talk about whether the thing is pleasant or not pleasant? So that's because of touch. Now, taste or sight or sound, these are very subtle objects. Therefore, although they still do also have an inherent pleasant or unpleasant degree to it, but when we feel it, it's always initially, that consciousness is always neutral. But then if we taste something good, let's say we have the good karma to taste an apple, that is because of a kusala vipaka. That is because of the resultant of past good karma that we have done in the past. That's why we have this resultant taste consciousness to taste this apple, right? So if the apple is inherently, it is a pleasant object, so the consciousness, the tongue consciousness that is experiencing it at this moment is a kusala vipaka, is a wholesome resultant consciousness. Then say we taste an apple which is rotten. So inherently, the thing that is there is an unpleasant object, let's say. So that tongue consciousness, although it is still associated with neutral mental feeling, but it is categorized as an unwholesome resultant consciousness, which is we are tasting it because of our unwholesome past karma. Therefore, we now have this experience of tasting this object that is rotten, or that has a bad taste to it. Okay, so therefore, the object itself is related, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant, is related in this way. But now for the touch, because it is said that touch is gross, is very gross. So it's not like the sight or sound or smell or taste. When we touch something, because the impact is strong, the object like kind of crush each other. No, when we touch something, the body sensitivity and the object, they crush. So if it is pleasant, if it is soft, then we always feel sukha. The body sensitivity, when the thing is good, it is associated with sukha feeling. And when it is when we hit very hard, then it is always associated with dukkha feeling. So body consciousness, although it is a resultant consciousness, if it is a wholesome resultant, it will be associated with sukha feeling. If it is an unwholesome resultant, then it will be associated with the dukkha feeling. All right. So that is in itself about the resultant consciousness, but our reaction to it comes later. Now, then we go to the second part of the question, whether an arahant experiences sukha or dukkha feeling or not. Of course, because the feeling itself, it will arise, but their reaction to it will be different. They will not react to it with defilements. They will react to it only with wisdom. Do you remember, if you read the suttas, then you may know that the Buddha have headache sometimes. Yeah, so those are definitely dukkha feeling. Even the Buddha experience painful bodily feeling, headache, or before he passed away, he had stomach problem. And so all those are dukkha itself. But the Buddha never react, or arahants never react with aversion towards this kind of feeling, or never with attachment towards comfortable feeling. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And just so to clarify, when you say, for example, that the Buddha experiences dukkha, this is dukkha Vedana, but not the same dukkha as in, say, the Noble Truths.
No, but well, dukkha, it's that dukkha feeling, physical dukkha feeling, is also included in the Noble Truth, no? Because suffering exists, right? And unpleasant bodily feeling also exists. So that is also included. But the Buddha does not experience domanassa. Domanassa, mental unpleasant feeling, only associate with anger. And the Buddha will not experience that, no domanassa, but dukkha, yes. So sukha and somanassa, the Buddha will experience both, because somanassa, this pleasant mental feeling, can be related to happiness or joy that is related to to wisdom, or to helping others, or to beautiful, or not beautiful, because the Buddha is totally enlightened. So together with the functional consciousness, it is possible to associate with somanassa also. So that is sukha and somanassa both will be, the Buddha will experience, but never with craving, no? Never associate with pleasant feeling with craving will never arise. And domanassa never arise, and neutral feeling will arise, yes. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so I think that's all for question. Anyone else has anything else that you want to ask or want to say? No? Okay, then we continue to the second part of the Vedanānupassanā. Okay, so we have been talking about Vedana and its causes, no? So contact, no? We said. So why does Vedana arise? Let's do a little experiment. Okay. Did you hear the music? Yes? Okay, yeah, it was working. Okay. Did any mental feeling arise when we were listening to the music? Yes. Did you recognize any mental feeling? Yes. Was it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? Pleasant? Yeah, can be pleasant, can be unpleasant, can be neutral. Okay. Now, how about when it ended abruptly? Any mental feeling there? Like, why it suddenly stopped? Oh, yeah. Okay. Someone may feel pleasant, or someone may feel neutral, or never mind about that. So for those who like music, initially when we hear this sound, then their pleasant feeling may arise. Then when it ends abruptly, maybe an unpleasant feeling will arise. I have a very good friend who used to be a musician. He feels unpleasant when music ends abruptly. So he will always say that use fade out effect. If you use fade out effect, don't just cut it. No. So, right. So anyway, so some kind of mental feeling arose just now. Why is that? What is the cause? What are the causes and conditions for this mental feeling to arise? That's because the sound got in touch with our ear sensitivity. No? So when there is an object and it gets in touch, gets into contact with the ear sense, in this case, the music, the sound, audible object, and contact with the ear sensitivity. And because of this contact, feeling arise, mental feeling arise. So mental feeling arise because any kind of the object, of the six kind of object, gets in touch with any kind of the six senses. So for those who like music, when the object, that is sound here, gets in touch with ear sensitivity, ear consciousness arises together with a pleasant mental feeling. So that is the Vedana. So Vedana, this mental feeling, fully experience or enjoy this sound or this object. And for those who do not like music, maybe unpleasant feeling can arise. So the main cause here for feeling to arise, for mental feeling to arise, is the object and the contact with the object. And it happens with all the other senses. When a visible object gets in touch with the eye sensitivity, eye consciousness arises together with a mental feeling. Now, I'm talking in general now, because I just explained a little bit earlier to the question of Ada and Kate, that when we first hear the sound, it is neutral, but then later pleasant feeling arises because we like it. No? So that's the Javana part. That's a reaction part to it. Yeah. Okay. So we're talking in general now. So we're talking about also our reaction towards it, that mental feeling. Yeah. So here we will now come back to attachment. Now, when feeling arises, it does not arise alone. The Buddha said, in the worldlings, puthojana, that means those that are not enlightened, when a pleasant feeling, sukha vedana, arise simultaneously, the underlying tendency or latent tendency to crave, which is called raga-nuseya in Pali, also arise. When having the suitable conditions, the underlying tendency to craving will arise. Now, what is an underlying tendency? For those who are not yet enlightened, there are still potential for defilements to arise because we have not yet uprooted the defilements, right? So when conditions conduce, the defilements will emerge. That potential is what is called the underlying tendency or the latent tendency. In Pali, it's called anuseya. It is like a lighter. As long as there is gas inside, when we press it and it strikes against the flint inside, and a flame will be produced. So when suitable conditions arise, the underlying tendency to defilements will also arise in those who are not enlightened. So in Pali, this term is called anuseya, underlying or latent tendency, or the potentiality to defilements. It is made up of two words, anu and seya. Anu, this prefix, it means to continue or non-stop. Seya, it means existing by itself when the suitable conditions exist. So that means when conditions are there, it will come up again and again and again, non-stop. Now, we all experience this. For example, when we see and smell the food we like, a pleasant mental feeling arises and we want to eat it. So the underlying tendency to craving and attachment is already there. In the Sala Sutta, the discourse about the dart, in Samyutta Nikaya, it is said that Sukhaya Vedanaya Raga Nuseyo Anusetiti. The underlying tendency of lust or greed lies latent in pleasant feeling. And how about when something we don't like happened? Or simply that we just don't feel comfortable physically or mentally, the underlying tendency towards aversion, patiga anuseya, very readily arise. In this sutta, it says, dukkaya vedanaya patiga anuseyo anusetiti. The underlying tendency of aversion lies latent in unpleasant feeling. And when we are feeling quite neutral, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, we usually do not even notice that this feeling is there because it is so subtle and not obvious. So when there is neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling, we don't know it, and avijja nuseya arise. In the sutta, it says, dukkha masukaya vedanaya avijja nuseyo anusetiti. That means the underlying tendency of delusion lies latent in neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. So you see, this is our habitual reaction towards mental feeling for an untrained mind. No? So the habitual reaction of an untrained mind towards pleasant feeling is the arising of raga nuseya, the latent tendency or underlying tendency to greed or lust. Then towards dukkha feeling, unpleasant feeling, the reaction is latent tendency to aversion, patigha nuseya. And for neutral feeling, delusion, avijja nuseya, latent tendency to delusion. And then what happened next? Let's say we take sukha feeling. When we feel good, when any of the senses get in touch with an object, and then pleasant mental feeling arise, then for an untrained mind, raga nuseya, the latent tendency to lust or to greed, immediately arise. And what happened? Because there is craving and attachment there, then we crave that object which gives this feeling, no? And what happens if we do get it? If we do get it, we feel good again. We feel a pleasant mental feeling, and then we want more. Then raga nuseya again. So we get into this loop. And what happens if we do not get it? If we do not get what we want, then the latent tendency to aversion immediately arises. And when it arises, it does not arise alone. It arises together with delusion also. Because delusion, avijja or moha, always accompanied all kinds of defilements or all kinds of unwholesome mental state. So if we feel something good and then we want more, and then when we don't get it, then we feel angry. And now what happens is that to get rid of this unpleasant feeling, we crave again something more. Then raga nuseya arise again. Latent tendency to greed arise again. Okay, so if we get what we want, then we get some kind of pleasant mental feeling, and then we want it again. Then that loop go on this way, go on this way. And if we don't get what we want, then again, the latent tendency to aversion happens. So again, we loop in this way. So this is our habitual reaction towards feeling. It becomes a very frequent thing. It happens to us every day, and it runs its own course without if we are not meditating, we are not contemplating, without us even knowing it. So as we said earlier, anu means again and again, happening non-stop. Seya means the arising of something when conditions are conducive to it. So when there is pleasant feeling, craving and attachment. So towards unpleasant feeling, aversion, and towards neutral feeling, delusion. So in this way, we are turning around and around and around. Whenever there is craving and also aversion and also delusion, there will always be suffering. So that's the samsara that we are living in. When we are not aware and when we are not cultivating ourselves, we are trapped, turning around, chasing Vedana, chasing feeling, chasing pleasant mental feeling. That is why Vedana is so important, because it leads to craving. Craving and delusion is the fuel for rebirth, as we have seen in the dependent origination. Life after life, we turn around and around and around, not knowing how to come out from this cycle. That's the dependent origination, because we crave, because we want, because we feel we want, and then we again we turn around and around and around. Now here briefly, I will talk a little bit about the dependent origination. The wheel of life, this is called the wheel of life, Bhavacaka. Here is 12th link of the dependent origination. The dependent origination actually describes 3 lives. Because there were ignorance and craving together with other defilements here, ignorance, tanha, and upadana, so kilesa, because of that, together with karma, sorry, not yet, but because of kilesa first, because there is avijja, tanha, upadana, and other defilements, we did all kinds of karma. We did all kinds of karma. Literally means action. No, karma means action, good or bad, in the past. So because of karma and kilesa together, those are called the past causes. This present life is produced. With this present life, it comes consciousness, mind and matter, cetasika, and rupa also, no? So mind and matter arise because of those past causes. Now, because there is mind and matter, there is also the six senses. Because there is six senses, we'll get in touch with objects. Because of getting in touch with object, there will be mental feelings. So this is our present life here. So because of the past causes, we have present effect. Now, with the present effects, what happened is that when we feel, we crave, right? And then when we craved, together, other defilements also arise, delusion also arise, grasping also arise, anger, whatever. All kinds of defilements arise together. And because of that, again, we do all kinds of karma. Good or bad, good or bad. So because of this kilesa and karma together, we are creating present cause for future effects to arise. So therefore, we are like this, turning around and around and around and around in samsara, never stopped. And so how do we do? What do we do? How to stop this? Now the key lies in the link between feeling and craving. Vedanāpacaya tanha. What we need to do, if we don't want future effects, what we can do is we need to stop the creating present causes, right? If there is no present cause, there will be no future results. So we need to stop creating present cause. But what are the present causes? The present causes are our habitual reactions towards Vedana, and not Vedana itself. Can we stop mental feeling from arising? Yes or no? We cannot, no, because it is already a result, no. Because we have this life, there is six senses, there must be contact with objects, and when there is contact of object, Vedana must always arise. So we cannot stop Vedana. But how about, can we stop reacting towards these mental feelings with craving, aversion, and delusion? Yes, right? So although we cannot stop Vedana, we can stop defilements. So when the Raga Nusaya, Patiga Nusaya, and Avijja Nusaya, when these three latent defilements based on the three feelings are abandoned, then the other defilements, the other kilesas will also be abandoned. Then when all defilements are totally eradicated, all sufferings in the round of rebirth, samsara, will be terminated and the chain will be broken. So that is the exit to samsara, the link between Vedana and Tanha. So when there is Vedana, whatever Vedana arises, the thing is not to react to it with defilements. That if we can do that, then that we are going towards the exit of samsara. Now in the Pahana Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha said, Sukhaya bhikkhave vedanaya raga nuseyo pahatabo. The underlying tendency to lust should be abandoned in regard to pleasant feeling. Dukkhaya vedanaya patiganusayo pahatabo. The underlying tendency to aversion should be abandoned in regard to painful feeling. Adukkha masukaya vedanaya avijja nuseyo pahatabo. The underlying tendency to ignorance should be abandoned in regard to neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling. So this is what the Buddha said in the Pahana Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya. So all these three types of underlying tendency in regards to the three feelings should be abandoned. And how? How do we abandon this latent tendency? By practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, by cultivating mindfulness, effort, as we have seen in the very beginning of this sutta, satima, atapi, mindfulness, ardent effort. With effort and mindfulness, then we cultivate concentration. That is right concentration, right mindfulness, right effort. And then sampajano also, with clear comprehension, with clear comprehension, with wisdom, understanding, and also with right thought. That when we are practicing Vedanānupassanā here, in this case, then we are renouncing the search for sensual pleasure and staying in the domain of the meditators, which is the four foundation of mindfulness. So in this way, when practicing the Satipatthana, we are practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. So we are cultivating the five Pubhaga Magga, the five former paths. Remember these three, that is the Sila part that we have already explained how it is included, right? So for practicing the four foundation of mindfulness, we are cultivating the five former path and practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. And this is the way to ultimately and totally abandon the latent tendency of defilements. So here in the Vedanānupassanā section, meditators observe whatever mental feeling that arises in them every moment, in every posture, whether we are sitting, standing, walking, or lying down, or doing any other kinds of activities. We are to know what mental feeling are arising at this moment, and we need to observe it. Then we understand the individual characteristic, function, and manifestation of Vedana. And then we also realize that Vedana, they do not arise alone. It arises together with other mental phenomena. So there is Chitta, consciousness, Vedana. There is Sanya, perception is also there. Cetana, which is volition, together with other mental factors. And then Phassa, contact, is also there. So in this way, we proceed to contemplate on the four mental aggregates. Meditators contemplate on the mind, and also seeing that the mind arises depending also on rupa, just as we have seen in previous section. The heart base, material property, hadayawatu, is the base for the mind to arise. So for chitta, for consciousness to arise. So meditator also contemplate on the heart base, as well as all the other mental material property that arise together with the heart base. So we have to discern the characteristic, function, and manifestation of both mind and matter. And in this way, meditators contemplate on both the mental aggregate as well as the rupa aggregate, the material aggregate, the five aggregates of clinging, which are the object of vipassana meditation. And then the meditator will understand that there is only mind and matter arising and passing, doing their own job. There is actually no being and no individual there, and no self. So then the sutta continues like the other sections. Iti ajatamva vedanasu vedanānupassi viharati. Thus he dwells contemplating the feelings in the feelings internally. Then the meditators contemplate internally that feelings are only feelings. They arise and they pass away. The feelings does not belong to any being. It is only a part of the mental phenomena and arise due to cause and conditions. Bahida wa vedanasu vedanānupassi viharati, or he dwells contemplating the feelings in the feelings externally. So that means that the meditator infer that in other beings also, feelings are also only feelings. They do not belong to any other individuals or being, such as there is no I here, there is also no man, no woman, no individual out there. So it's the same for here and for out there, so internally and externally. Ajata bahida wa vedanasu vedanānupassi viharati. Or the meditator dwells contemplating the feelings in the feelings both internally and externally. So that means the meditator contemplate back and forth here and there. So understanding that there is no individual, no self, no atta here, also no atta out there. Then the sutta continues. Samudaya Dhammanupassi va vedanasu viharati. Vaya Dhammanupassi va vedanasu viharati. Samudaya vaya Dhammanupassi va vedanasu viharati. he dwells contemplating the origination factors and the feelings, or he dwells contemplating the dissolution factors and the feelings, or he dwells contemplating both the origination and dissolution factors in the feelings. So the meditators, they come to see the causes and conditions of feelings, which are ignorance, craving, karma in the past, contact in the present, and also the dissolution factors. That means the absence of those. Then meditators proceed to the contemplation of the cost of mind and matter. And as we have seen in the other sections, and also today also about the dependent origination, how Vedana arises, because of what. So the meditator contemplate on the normal order and the reverse order of the dependent origination. Then in this way, meditator will proceed to the contemplation of anicca, dukkha, and anatta of all mind and matter. So even feeling is also anicca, dukkha, and anatta, and all other mental factors or consciousness and rupa that arise also, they are also anicca, dukkha, and anatta. And so when the meditators experience this and understand about this anicca, dukkha, and anatta, they will be able to be aware of the arising and fading away of mind and matter, whatever they may be arising, they may be experiencing at that moment. Then they will reach higher and higher stages of vipassana wisdom until they reach the stage of arahantship, where there is no more wrong view and clinging to the 5 aggregates. So this is how the meditator established the mindfulness as there is feeling only, and that mindfulness is established to the extent necessary for further knowledge and mindfulness, not depending on or attached to anything by way of craving and wrong view he dwells. Thus, 2 bhikkhus, a bhikkhu dwells contemplating the feelings in the feelings. So this is how the meditator contemplates about Vedana, in this Vedanānupassanā, in this contemplation of feelings, in this foundation of the mindfulness, foundation of mindfulness. Now, since Vedana is a very, very important factor, it is separated as an individual foundation of mindfulness. So concerning Vedana, the Buddha actually explained it a lot in many different ways, in many different suttas. So if you want to know more about Vedana, I recommend you to read the book An Analysis of Feeling, which is the translation of 5 Burmese Dhamma talks given by Sayadaw Dr. Nandamara Biwamsa in January in 2011. Sayadaw explained many facts on feelings from various suttas in a very carefully structured and coherent way, making it very comprehensive for readers. So I'll put the link where you can download this book in the chat box. So if you're interested, please download it and read it. You will find a lot of useful information concerning how to contemplate on Vedana in our daily life according to the teachings in different suttas. Okay, so in this way, we have come to the end of the contemplation of feelings. Sorry, I'll just copy the link in case I have to get it later. Okay, then so we have come to the end of the Vedanānupassanā. Next week, we are going to Citta-Nupassana, the contemplation of consciousness. Okay. I'll stop sharing the screen and see if you have any question here. So I see that there is something in the chat box. Let me see. Tom, because Vedana is vipaka, we have no control over feelings. So an arahant no longer considers an unpleasant feeling as suffering, but feelings continue rolling on. Well, Tom, Vedana is not vipaka. Vedana is a mental factor, is a cetasika that associates with all kinds of citta. So it also associates with vipaka citta, but it also associates with wholesome citta, with unwholesome citta, and even with enlightenment cittas, path consciousness also. So Vedana, it's a universal mental factor that associates with all kinds of cittas, not only vipaka. And so an arahant no longer consider an unpleasant mental feeling as suffering. The second part is correct. they do not, maybe I should not say that they do not consider unpleasant feeling a suffering in terms of, well, they do consider suffering is suffering because that's the noble truth, no? So it is, suffering is still suffering, but they never react to it with aversion or with defilements. But they still feel pleasant or unpleasant. So all kinds of feeling they will still feel, but they do not react to it with defilements. That's the main point. Is that okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, Kate and Ada?
Hi, Heidi. Thank you. My question is, I find it very challenging to identify neutral feelings. It's much easier for me to identify the arising of pleasant or unpleasant feelings. And I'm wondering if you have any advice for working with the delusion and the ignorance that make it hard to establish mindfulness around neutral feelings, please.
Yeah, as you can see during the explanation, even in the commentaries, that it is said that it is very hard to know this neutral feeling because it is very subtle and it is not obvious. We can only, in a way, infer to it when there is no pleasant feeling, and when there is no unpleasant feeling, then there is the neutral feeling to it, no? But if your aim to identify the neutral feeling is because of wanting to work with delusion, then even if you recognize pleasant feeling and unpleasant feeling, we are still working with delusion. Because whenever we are mindful, whenever we are aware, then those consciousness are not associated with delusion. Those are wholesome consciousness, right? So as long as we are cultivating mindfulness, we are looking at ultimate reality rather than always looking into the concept. So we are, let's say, what I mean is, say, if I think that I am feeling like this, or I am this, I am that, then we are looking into more the concept of the thing, no? Because I is a concept. Right? It is the story. It is the story. But when I say when we are putting more emphasis on ultimate reality, then we are seeing, oh, this mental feeling is arising at this moment. Not that I'm feeling it, but because of causes and conditions, this mental feeling is arising. So let me look at this and learn about this mental feeling. What is it? How is it? Why does it arise? And we do not need to answer these questions, or we do not need to find or think about an answer to these questions. We just have to give the direction to the mind. This is what we are looking at. Then when we observe, then as much as the mind can know, that's good enough. Because mind is also not us. We cannot want it to be better or want it to see more than what it can. So only with practice, with continuity, then the mind will expand itself. It will be able to see more and more, and it will come with the practice. So the main point is to keep mindfulness and keep continuity of mindfulness and keep right view. Right view meaning seeing feeling as feeling, not my feeling. And seeing thoughts as thoughts, not my thoughts. And or apply it to everything, no? So this is also the way that Sayadaw Tejaniya teaches how to observe during our practice. Is that okay?
Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Welcome. All right. So anything else, anyone, about today's content? All good? All right. Okay, so in this case, we will close a little bit earlier. And so let's dedicate our effort for the attainment of Nibbana and also share merits with all beings. So let's recite together. Idam no punyam Nibbanassa pacheyo hotu. Idam no punyam Nibbanassa pacheyo hotu. Itam no punyam nibbānassa paccayyo hotu. Itam no punyam sabba satanam bhajima. Itam no punyam sabba satanam bhajima. Itam no punyam sabba satanam bhajima. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Heidi.
See you next week.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maha sadhu, Heidi.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.